right. Well, I went to go get the glasses, but honestly, they're just giving off a glare. Your queen should have gotten the anti-glare coating. I went to what is it called? Lens Crafters? Eyeglass World. That's where I went. And where sometimes the deal is just so good, you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna take the deal. It's like you're keeping a secret from the outside world. They had a sale where it was like two for $200 or something like that, which is decent. Anyways, I was just in there, just like, I'm gonna just get away with the two pairs of eyeglasses. Like, I'm not gonna pay any more money because no one's gonna scam me today. And now look at this. You can't see my right eyeball. I don't like that. So, thank you for joining me. Just a side note. Welcome to the Well of Prophecy Tarot. My name is Novia. I'm here just doing some early spring cleaning, organizing, revamping my page. And I was just thinking about what happens, how many people out there have been stagnant due to exterior situations, creating problems or pulling situations from the ether that are not a part of their existence into their personal bubbles in order to push themselves further. When you allow external situations to actually become the framework of your beliefs, right? Your belief system. And how we often go through things. Let me see. We often go through things in this world that will make us stop believing in ourselves. We'll encounter so much hatred. The world, will jump us. When I go about the world and I'm seeing something in which would normally make me react or want to stand up for another person. Let's say I see another one. You know how hard it is to turn your back or turn a blind eye to something in which normally would put you in overdrive. But when you have to learn to put your pretenses aside for a moment because you matter, putting yourself first, when extending your energy, depending on who you are, because we all have a position. I feel that there are some people out here who are placed here to be that rescuer, I feel that there's some divine feminine and divine masculine energies, you know what I mean? That, it's very possible, you are always there at the right place, at apparently or seemingly the wrong time, but it's actually the right place and the right time, so that's beautiful. But all I'm trying to say is when we have to make space for us to regenerate and replenish ourselves, when we've been put in a position of having to play superhero for so long, right? To where it seems like sometimes the world is our kryptonite, right? Or it seems as if our anecdote has somehow seeped out, right? When people say, oh, my kindness gets taken for weakness, or when people overstep boundaries, penetrate you with harmful words, or try to put you in a light. Maybe someone refers to you as suspicious because you prefer quiet and alone time, because you like to keep to yourself. You're a personal person, And it's because of that strength, and because of those boundaries that you put up, that people try, there's like people tiptoeing around your parameters, where you've had to constantly build your fence even higher and put so much effort into rectifying that fence, right? To where sometimes you don't have enough energy. You lose a little bit of strength for yourself, you know? It took so much energy to build up that wall, you know, that you realize that there aren't really any outside distractions, but rather you've become distracted, and all of your effort and energy becomes put in a space of, what's that word? Defensiveness. You're always on your defense, you know, protected. But then there's a time when you have to allow the wall to do its job. If you've never had any sneak attacks, or if you've never had any, you know, when you're free from stress, it may take you a while to realize it. And sometimes we become so guarded behind this brick wall that we forget to the enjoyment of company, or what it feels like to experience touch, or, you know, have a reason to show off our building skills to somebody, you know, or all the knowledge in which you've accumulated, or we've accumulated during a time of creating peace and solitude. Giving yourself an impenetrable shield, if you will. But sometimes it's like, there's nothing that's trying to penetrate you. You know? There's nothing in which is trying to, especially if you're, I mean, it's impossible. There becomes a time when it could be family members, coworkers, people in your immediate environment, when you can give them too much power over you. That was a metaphor with the kryptonite. Who is that? That's Superman. And when the rest of the world learns your weaknesses, but rather takes advantage of your heart, your patience, your ability to remain diplomatic in situations in which are chaotic, your ability to continue to love the same person even though they're constantly keeping things up their sleeves, or have tricks up their sleeves, you know, to keep you in a space of believing that the rest of the world can harm you, that something can sneak up on you and take from you. I've been feeling that there's a heavy energy of resurrection, and I can't help but notice, of course, that it's around the time of Easter. I think Easter is coming on Sunday. I'm very excited because we never really did, like, if anything, Easter was the only day in my family where we like went to church and things like that. My mother, we grew up in prayer and definitely had a spiritual background system. But as far as the Christian, you know, nothing was ever enforced to that degree. But it's not until I've gotten older and found and linked with my own rite of passage, my own spiritual path, that times like this are significant. What solstice is this? This is called like an equinox or something like that. There's a word for it that's technical. I'm just now starting to get into the astrology and kind of delve more into the witchy calendar and things like that. So I know Yule is associated with winter. I suppose it's spring equinox. We'll just call it that. I'm trying to think. You guys got me in the comments, I'm sure. But when I've allowed myself to be a student, and around these times are when I'm in a place of solitude, to where like I'm studying through I don't even know how to say it, like from a place of solitude, but it's not necessarily confinement. You know how solitude, and then I was thinking of like solitary confinement. So they come with two different things. Solitude comes with peace, a peace which you can only find within. Solitary confinement is when you're being kept from something, right? Pulled from the outside world, like against your will. And does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I'm going somewhere with this. It's a metaphor. When I go out of my bubble, and let me know if anyone else feels like this. When I step into the world, it just feels so redundant, so mundane. It makes me want to retreat back into my little oasis cave here that I have, my bat cave. And gives me this moment of reflection, not only about how much peace I have, but how I'm really a student, and how it's like I have the most consciousness at this time, the most Christ consciousness, if you will, at this time. My abilities to observe become more magnified around this time. And, I think we get lost in comparison. When we try to compare or find a reason to look for fault and the things in which are inevitable, much beyond our control and part of our spiritual ascension. It's part of our spiritual journey, when we're right where we belong. But we still have these exterior circumstances in which we're fighting that truly do not belong to us. But when we're in a state of fragility like this, back to the state of where I was talking about, when you've had to learn to remove yourself from the world, right? Not because the world wants to attack you per se, but because you want to see the world kind of eat itself for a moment. Because when you've been guided and when you listen, right, to spirit, and when you allow yourself to be honest with yourself about what you have to surrender, your solar return, coming back into yourself after a long time of sleep, hibernation, it may feel like, even spiritually, being kind of dormant. Or it's like you've been working for so long, but it's like, when will you reap the fruits of all of your labor? It's when you recoil, when you detach, when you allow yourself, right, to detach from those surroundings, but become your focal point. Discipline yourself. Look at yourself, insert yourself as a character in like a biblical narrative, right? Or whatever ancient text it is that you made, the Torah, the Quran. They are all one and the same. I had actually heard someone say that the Quran has the whole Christian Bible in there, which I thought was amazing, and I mean, not very surprising considering that I've found the Muslim brother to be the most humble and the most peaceful, when we're not going to levels of extreme and things like that. You know what I mean? But gotta give some love to the many teachings in which I've learned, and the examples that I've been delivered from spirits through literal interaction. What's that other book? The Gita. That's another one that has some, interesting insights and methods of personification in there to be able to get a person to understand our position in life and to teach us how to be more humble and the meaning of humility through not allowing the world to push us to our limits, and also not exceeding our own, personal limits by trying to shape ourselves or trying to force our spiritual journey or judging ourselves for healing, right? Or creating external circumstance to allow yourself or make yourself believe that there is something that you're lacking or that you're not good enough, or guilt, that these emotions that will keep oneself from breaking free from the cage that they may have put themselves in to protect themselves, but only for a little while. Sometimes you have to emerge. We have to learn to be more kind to ourselves. Allow your gifts to guide you, right? Allow the things in which everyone's giving you a hard time for, tried to shut you up for, give you grief for, so potentially even someone that has grief, the things that you stopped doing before you experienced grief, before you allowed your emotions to take away your life, take away your enjoyment for life experience, take away your belief for love. Take away your ability to react to things, to extend yourself, to lend your insight, to comment on things, to use your voice, to listen even. What happens when you are around a whole bunch of people that are never saying shit but nothing? Right? When you let your ego allow you to recoil from the rest of society, and therefore you believe that you're the smartest one in the bunch, and you make no room for other learning experiences. You make no room for connections for other people. Right? I feel like there's so many people that are working on self-esteem. And I just want to say congratulations to you. I really do. Because it's always a work in progress, right? Just like this. This was intended to be just like a little mic test for me really quick. Because I'm out here with the rest of the collective, regenerating. When the world literally will have you becoming so critical on yourself, where you bring harm upon yourself. I'm sometimes up in the wee hours of the morning trying to prove to myself and to my own spirit guides that I'm still smart, that I haven't lost my intelligence. when there's absolutely no such thing. It's just a reflection of the fact that I have not felt stimulated enough. I haven't felt appreciated enough. I haven't put my gift of gab into practice in such a long time that I've allowed my silence to actually make me subconsciously believe that I'm not heard, or that no one wants to hear me, or that I'm not good enough to broadcast myself or to share. You know? And then when I go out, the reality of things is usually quite the contrary to what I allowed myself to believe. So, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'm exceeding my time limit.